4 indigenous children aged 13, 9, 4 and a child who is now 12 months old, who went missing for more than a month in the Colombian Amazon rainforest. Now, these children survived in the wild and have now been united with their relatives.
Porque es algo que para nosotros no nos dejaba dormir, no nos dejaba estar feliz, no nos dejaba hablar. O sea, para nosotros fue una oscuridad, algo que nosotros andamos por andar, vivimos por vivir. ¿Por qué? Porque hay algo que lo sostiene, algo que le diga sientes. Pero en ese momento, al encontrar a los niños, uno se siente una alegría. Uno no sabe cómo hacer, pero siempre agradecer a mi Dios.
The children, including 3 girls and a boy, are currently being treated at Central Military Hospital at Bogota. Earlier, on the 10th of June, President Gustavo Petro, along with Colombia First Lady, visited the indigenous children. But the bigger question is, how did this miraculous rescue mission pan out? And how did these children survive in Amazon's dense jungles?
En general, el estado de los niños, del niño y de las niñas, es un estado aceptable, de acuerdo con los informes médicos, están fuera de peligro, lo que se requiere es estabilizarlos.
These were the sequence of events. On the 1st of May, a small plane carrying 7 people had crashed in the south of Colombia. The aircraft, a Cessna 206, was en route to a city in the country's Guaviare province when it issued a mayday alert due to engine failure. Of the passengers on board, 3 adults, including the pilot and mother of the siblings, died in the plane crash. To find the remaining 4 children, Operation Hope, involving 150 soldiers, indigenous people and about 200 volunteers, was launched. From satellites to helicopters to 10 Belgian Shepherd dogs to flyers, everything was deployed to find the missing children. Rescuers even broadcasted a message recorded by the children's grandmother urging them to move. The task at hand was not easy. The search operation was carried out in an area spreading over 323 square kilometers. But at last, due to combined efforts of indigenous groups and Colombian authorities, children were finally rescued on the 9th June near the border between Colombia's Caqueta and Guaviare provinces, about 5 kilometers west of the crash site.
Pero en realidad, quienes hicieron este trabajo fue esa célula combinada por nuestros indígenas del Muruy, de la comunidad Muruy, del Putumayo, que los hallaron y luego se encontraron con una célula de nosotros, de nuestras fuerzas especiales.
Search for Wilson, one of the military dogs which participated in the operation and missing, is still going on. Tale of their survival is as intriguing as their rescue saga. Remember, the 4 siblings, and I'm repeating their ages here because it is unbelievable, they were aged 13, 9, 4, as well as a now 12-month-old baby. They survived in the jungle for over 40 days. How? Well, they ate some leftover yucca wheat that was aboard the doomed plane. Then they also scavenged from relief parcels dropped by search helicopters. They also ate seeds, roots and plants they knew were edible. The family of the children were hopeful that the siblings' familiarity with the jungle would see them through. The survivors belong to Huitoto, an indigenous tribe that teaches its people the forest way of life, including hunting, fishing and gathering. All right, joining us live from Ohio is David Canterbury, who is a survival expert. He is also an author of survival guides such as Bushcraft 101 in 2014, Survivability for the Common Man and Advanced Bushcraft. Welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
4 kids, including an infant, surviving by themselves in the wild for 40 days. Sounds like the script of a movie, and perhaps it will be one day as well. How do you think they survived?
Well, I think that putting it into perspective is an important thing, and you did that very well in the beginning by pointing out that these are indigenous tribal people. And so they're raised in a jungle environment. They live this life day in and day out. It's not a city child who was thrust into the jungle in an unknown environment. This is an environment very familiar to them. They understand what's dangerous, what's not. They understand what they can eat, what they cannot eat. They understand how to utilize things in different ways than we would think about utilizing them, by being able to improvise with items that they have on their person or that they can find or scavenge. And I think all of those things, combined with the fact that in indigenous tribes and in many other countries, the siblings are a lot of times responsible for taking care of the younger children in the family or in a group. So I think that the older children were probably used to taking care of the younger ones, and combined with the skills they have, being from the jungle, being tribal people to begin with, gave them a large leg up in being able to survive. If you look at the amount of movement that they did was only about 5 kilometers over 40 days. So they didn't move very far at one time. They spent a lot of time sheltered up, probably looking for food, looking for nourishment, gathering water, and things that they would need to do, and taking care of the younger siblings to help affect their survival.
David, you are a survival expert. You're familiar with these kind of conditions. Apart from the fear of being away from their family, the grief and shock following the crash, what would have been the biggest challenges these kids would have faced in the wild?
You know, I think obviously the unknown is always your biggest challenge. You know, you're there without adult supervision. And even if you're an adult and you're in that situation, you still have a fear of the unknown because you don't have anyone around you to help. Again, these are tribal type people, so they're used to having people around them to help them through scenarios, and that was taken away from them at the crash. So I think that would have been a psychological effect on their survival, but obviously they were able to overcome that. I can only hope that if I'm ever in that situation, I can overcome those psychological aspects, because that is a big a problem that's in a large scale when it comes to survival, is just a psychological effect of, am I going to be able to live through this, and what am I going to do to affect my survival?
Thank you for all those valuable insights, David. That was David Canterbury, who is a survival expert, joining us from Ohio.